We have motivation right now, and Fola Daniel Adelesi, CEO of Edible Pen Training and Development Limited, is here right now. He is an international keynote speaker, training facilitator, and communications professional. A highly engaging training facilitator who holds his large audience spellbound when speaking at gatherings. Welcome to Wake Up Nigeria.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's definitely amazing having you here. Now, as we were having a conversation earlier, I was telling you about how I do have a love for public speaking. I mean, I love it when I sit and watch people literally speak with so much power and purpose, and I captivate an entire audience. So now tell me about your journey, before we go into our topic, of course, about your journey.
Okay, so for me, as a child, you know, I was the kind of child that everybody had to tell, you've spoken enough, just be quiet. Can't you just keep quiet? You know, that kind of a thing. So I was like that growing up, and then the beginning of public speaking for me was, I was in children's, you know, debate team and church and stuff like that. So they were using someone else for a debate, and the person kept messing up. And the pastor's wife felt, why don't you, let's just give him a trial. They weren't sure if I could deliver, and they gave me a slot and I killed it.
You killed it.
So they had to beg my dad, please, can you bring him back early from school? There's this debate, he needs to be a part of it. And ever since, I've been standing in front of, there's just something that makes it natural for me to stand in front of crowd and just talk to them. But naturally, for people, I tell them, it makes it easier if there's something you're passionate about that you're talking about.
Yes.
So if you want to do public speaking, look for something that interests you, something that also annoys you. It's either way.
True.
It's either interesting you
something
to
you're
you.
irritated by.
Yes. So either of them, you can pick it up and then start talking about them.
Amazing. That sounds really good. So now for you, it came naturally.
Yes,
you were a kid that always wanted to speak and all of that. How about the people like us who were totally shy? I would never go for debates, never. Even somebody to spell in front of my class, I wouldn't do that. So for people like that, would you say, okay, is that a sign that, okay, maybe you shouldn't be in this field?
No. You can leverage being shy. I've seen introverts take on public speaking, and when they're on stage, I'm also blown away by how they use their reserved nature to control the audience. It's a technique. You know, I can get on stage, use all the energy, shout, be all over the place, and everybody's wowed. But you can also get on stage. You know, there's a power of silence. I can say, are you aware that there's power in being silent? And then I stand back. If you know Richard Ayo Johnson, who used to be here and stuff like that, he wasn't a loud speaker, but he was an amazing, very quintessential public speaker. That you're not out there, you're not an extrovert, doesn't mean that you're not going to be a great public speaker.
Amazing. Okay, let's not get carried away, because I can have this conversation with you for the rest of the day. So today for Motivation, we're here to talk about the power of affirmation. I think this is actually one that is very interesting and necessary, considering the fact, I mean, still the beginning of the year. I mean, it's February and all of that, and a lot of people are like going into New Year, they have new goals, and they are looking for things and ways and methods to actually achieve those goals. And we've heard about affirmations in the past. So now, first of all, let's start by the definition.
So the first thing, when we talk about affirmation, we're talking about what you say or reinforce to yourself. There are things that other people are saying to you, but it has a whole different meaning when you say it to yourself. In fact, psychologists believe that what you say to yourself sounds different when you say it to yourself, even if you've heard it repeatedly from other people. So affirmation is simply saying something to yourself and believing that as you say it, you will eventually say it. The science behind affirmation is that you can speak to your brain. And when you speak to your brain, it either shuts down or gets to work. A few examples of things that I've seen. There are times when I say to myself, okay, I want to get this thing done. How do I get it done? Or I need something like this to happen for me. And from the moment I say it, whether consciously looking or not, I just realize that maybe a few days later, a few weeks later, I just start seeing things pop up, maybe on the internet, or somebody just has a conversation, and it's exactly what I was looking for. But before I said I wanted to have it, I never saw it. So if you keep saying things to yourself, your brain gets to work. So if you say to yourself, I'm good, I'm better, it can only get better from here. Nothing gets worse. Nothing dies in my hands. Everything works. You see, initially you may not see the results, but over time you begin to see it. In fact, are you aware that even plants, when we talk to them, they either die or live? Yes. Somebody did an experiment and had a plant A and a plant B. put them on the table, and spoke affirmatively towards plant A. Then looked at plant B and began to curse plant B. After a few weeks, what happened was that plant A began to blossom and plant B began to wither.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember there's this popular story in the Bible about Jacob putting a striped stick in front of animals. How do you explain the fact that they produced what they saw? It was a part of affirmation.
Okay.
So there's the verbal affirmation, there's also the non-verbal affirmation. The things you see around you is a way of affirming something to yourself.
Okay.
And the things you say repeatedly is a more important way of affirming. So if somebody says you're not good enough, and you keep saying to yourself, no, that's just you, that's just what you think, I am good enough, you realize that you will go all the way to do those things or excel at those things that they told you that you're not good enough at.
Okay.
So it's just so important that we must leverage the power of affirmation.
All right. I mean, affirmations, I think over the years, have been proven to literally do amazing things to help people achieve great stuff. Now, I'm sure there's someone sitting down in the house now watching this and thinking, okay, so I can just sit down in my house now. Every day I'll just be affirming, $1 billion, $1 billion. But sitting down in the house, just sitting down in the house. So how would you say it will work in that regard?
So the first thing is that you are affirming something that you're working at.
Okay.
You're not affirming something that you're wishing for. So affirmation is a complementary role towards your execution.
Okay.
The question is, what have you designed to execute? What are you trying to make happen for yourself? So if you're trying to get a job, when we say affirmation, you realize that it's just something to spur you on. Somebody says, no, you're not good enough for the job. But you're going for that interview and say, no, I'm good enough for the job.
Okay, so
I'm the best person for the role.
So the affirmation is coming on as a form of, shall I say, accessory to already
encouragement,
actions that are being put in place.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not that you just sit
You're
somewhere.
not doing anything.
No. That's not how it works. So take, for example, you're about to do a project. You say, I can pull through. I'm good at it. I'm built for this. I'm wired for this. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. I'm going to make it happen. Take, for example, you have a child who is having difficulties academically and say, no, you're not built to fail. You're built differently. You can do it. All the other people who are succeeding don't have two heads. You have one head just like them. You can do better. There's nothing that makes them, superhuman. You can do it. I remember even watching an interview just a few days back, and this was somebody who even had cerebral palsy. And the mother would say to this girl, look, it's not your head that something is wrong with, it's your legs. So you can use your head, you can do better than those people. Go and compete with them. Nothing is wrong with your head, it's your leg that has issues. So when she heard that repeatedly, guess what? She eventually did very well. She finished school with a distinction.
Wow,
so
amazing.
When you affirm, and you need to affirm yourself, you need to affirm your loved ones. If you have children, you need to use affirmation for them.
I love the fact that you're coming to that, because growing up, in Nigeria especially, we all
Most of us didn't experience
Most of us didn't experience it because our parents were a little bit stressed. Let's use the word stress. And of course, within Nigeria. So I need you to actually emphasize on the importance of affirming kids, actually the younger generation, teaching them that way and showing them how that actually
I'll finish that with a story that I also heard. There was this lady who was looking forward to her father saying to her, wow, you did well, that was amazing. She got home, showed the father the result, and kept trying to get the father's attention to say, look, Dad, I finished school, I did well, and the dad didn't just listen. And from that point, she just went away and became wayward. She tried every vice that you could possibly imagine. Why? Because she was waiting for an affirmation from the father and she never got it. So it's important for parents to affirm their children. And I keep saying that one of the reasons sometimes young girls misbehave is because the affirmation they're looking for from their parents, they didn't get it, but a useless guy gave it to them. He knows what to say. He knows how to leverage their down times. So that's why they would go more, they will run into his arms. But that's not what he wants. He wants something else. So let's give our children affirmation. Let's say to them, you're good at it, you're better at it. Sometimes African parents generally like to tell you, you didn't do well. But when you do well, they never talk about it.
Very true.
So let's be intentional about affirmation for our children and for ourselves.
Yes, I think it's really important as well to know how to create the balance, to know when to discipline and when to affirm.
Absolutely.
Right, because both of them are like two sides of a coin. Thank you so much. It was amazing having this conversation with you.
Pleasure.
Definitely looking forward to our next conversation next week on motivation.
I look forward to
Thank you. All right, and that's it on motivation right here.